not even going to introduce him. That's how much I hate this guy. I'm not even going to introduce him. Dave. So my first question to you is, did Neneh Cherry actually really sit on your lap?
Yes.
You know what, guys? I can't carry on. Get this guy off the set. Security, you know what? Actually, stay there. He's fine. He's just gonna walk off himself. I can't do this. So,
security. Anybody? No. Security.
the security's having a
Out.
laugh. My next guest. This guy is an amazing dancer. He's also a DJ. He's been involved in promotions. He's toured the world with some big names. He's done a lot of things for the hip hop culture. And he's one of those guys where if you know, you know. And if you don't, you don't. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Toze One.
Yep.
Where do you want to start? It's a massive history.
Yeah, it's a long history, man. We got into, well, not hip hop per se, but if you want to, I always consider the Robotics era to be part of hip hop, even though it wasn't technically, because it came out of the whole sort of new romantic electronic music kind of scene. That we got into Robotics around 1980.
As early as that?
Yeah, it was Christmas 1980. We'd seen Robert Shields already on the Muppet Show. I mean, that was a thing that kind of made all the kids in the playground go, wow, did you see that? La 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 la. Bit of a playground craze for a few months and it died off. And then we saw it again. Me and Jay Adams, we were at Late Night Shopping in Folkestone, Christmas 1980. Now, this was the year that The Empire Strikes Back had come out. So Debenhams always had a really nice toy window. So we would go there and look at this window and looking at all this stuff. And this year, this guy was busking and he was in front of the toy window.
Okay, what's his name?
Jeff Harrison. He was a disco dancer. He danced on Top of the Pops. He did sort of the choreography and stuff, and he studied dance. He went off and studied dance in London, and I think he went off to America, and we all lost touch with him. And he was always dancing in the clubs and all that. But he was known for doing all that sort of stuff. And we saw him busking and doing his little act. And this one time we were there watching, trying to look in this toy window, looking at the bloody Star Wars toys, and there's this mush in the way doing his bloody thing.
Mush, you know, I haven't
And
heard
then
that word.
all of a sudden, he breaks into doing the robotics. And the first time I saw the backslide was him do that with an umbrella, like going backwards.
What,
and then he
even
turned
before
round.
Jeffrey Daniels?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
This was 1980.
Wow.
So Christmas of 80 coming into 1981.
And Jeffrey Daniels was what, 82?
82, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that on Top of the Pops when Shalimar didn't turn up.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of those moments when everyone kind of saw that and went, wow, we want to...
But someone was already doing it 2 years
people
before.
were already doing it before.
Wow.
And Jeff was doing the walking into the wind with the umbrella, like the slow moonwalk, and then he'd sort of backslide it by holding the umbrella behind him, like the guy that does that in Flashdance.
Yeah.
So he was doing that, and we saw that, and it was one of those moments where all of a sudden those Star Wars toys in that window weren't important anymore. And he was wearing these bright white, and we were like, that's it, that's our uniform. And I said to my nan at the time, I don't want that, I want that for Christmas.
Do you reckon that Michael Jackson might have been influenced by that?
I reckon so, because he was taught by Robert Shields, he and the Jackson 5, to do that for the Dancing Machine choreography that Robert Shields taught them. And Robert Shields' outfit, which we didn't know this until sort of later on, was, you know, the bandsman's jacket, the white gloves and all that kind of stuff, and he used to paint his face white. So yeah, there was obviously an influence there.
Had you set up a crew in your neck of the woods at the time?
No, it was me and Jay, and then we bumped into a friend of mine him over there.
Yeah.
Bumped into a friend of mine I went to primary school with, and we got talking to him, and he'd seen Robotics and stuff, and then we were like, oh, we do that as well, you know. So then there were three of us, and then time went on. We got introduced to another guy from our area who was quite a bit older than us. We met him, and he was like phenomenally good at robotics, and we hooked up with him. So then there were four of us, and then there was, you know, another kids just came in, and the scene blew up massively when hip hop hit.
Did you know about everything else that was going on around the country?
No.
So you had no clue there was hip hop. This explosion was about to happen.
No, apart from seeing little snippets of it on TV.
So what
Because
came first, the robotics? Or
Robotics, then body popping, then hip hop as a
yeah,
packaged.
because before that it was a different music
Yeah, it
genre.
was. We were dancing to Kraftwerk and just electronic stuff, and then the thing that changed it for me personally, musically, and the direction that I went with my music later on was when we were watching Top of the Pops and Vienna by Ultravox came on, and it was one of those cathartic moments when I was just like, that's it. That's the sound.
Was
that kind of really punchy electronic kind of music, and then we started going, we got more into this. Let's try and find out about this stuff coming out of Germany, which was Kraftwerk and Neu and all that sort of stuff. And then you had the new romantic movement, which was pumping out all this electronic music, and then that evolved into electro. But at the time, for us, it was like, it was new, it was different, and it was something that we could, put our movement to and it matched because it was electronic and it was punchy.
When you think about the relevance of what that did, that took the youngsters with something that was burning inside of them, to then turn this into a culture, to then turn this into the future, to then turn this into like probably the biggest tax earner for the government, for whatever, through music.
If that, we wouldn't be sitting here now. Yeah. If that hadn't have happened 40 years ago. Yeah. If we hadn't have seen this stuff and gone, oh yeah, I want to do this, and then the progression, and obviously, for me, I would say, because we had our own version of hip hop before hip hop was presented to us as a package. We had our own music, which is the electronic stuff. Right. We had our own clothing because we used to, just wear our whatever we thought was cool. We had our own dance style. We were all into art and drawing and painting and stuff anyway.
Your entrance into Covent Garden, what did that mean to you?
Initially, it was to see the guys doing Robotics, because that's where everybody started to go, because the buskers started off in Camden Lock, and then they moved from Camden Lock and Kensington, Knightsbridge, and then they came into Covent. We'd go Covent first to see if there was anything new going on, to go and look at the tags on the stairwell down the side, look at the Artful Dodger tag that ran for ages, never got touched because it was just...
It was so iconic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was perfect.
For me, that is probably my favourite tag that I've seen permanent. It was so iconic. I just think so many people were like, damn, I wish I thought of that.
Everyone looked at it and just went, that's genius. Why didn't I think of that? And it was, it was one of those moments. So we used to go down, look at the graph, see what was going on. But yeah, we'd go to Carnaby, no end of battles and hanging out with people and meeting people in that alleyway up the side of where Soccer Scene was. Because it was down by the pub to start with, on that main drag, and then it moved into that little side alleyway. And we met so many people there. We had so many popping street battles, and everyone would be out there beatboxing and rapping. And it was like, for us, we saw more and found there was more going on there than we ever saw in Covent. Maybe
Covent was like a hanging out place. More than anything. But obviously there was people there. Because I think when I first got there, I didn't see the walls that everyone was graphing on.
Yeah, they weren't there originally.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden we see these boards put up, and there was these walls.
Yeah.
And suddenly,
I mean, when you think about when it suddenly went stratospheric, is when the graffiti went up.
You mentioned that you had, and I hate you for this, right? But you mentioned that you had Neneh Cherry sitting on your lap.
Yeah.
How the hell did you manage that? Because like everybody was into Neneh Cherry. Like, not necessarily for her music, but she was so pretty, beautiful.
Basically.
And you, wow. Yeah. I mean, you're talking like...
Right there, man. Right there.
What the hell?
Yeah.
How?
Basically, we hooked up with Bomb the Bass. They came to Dover and did a concert.
So you knew Tim Simmons?
Yeah, so we bum rushed that concert and got in. And then a bit later on, when the album was being released, the Mega Blaster single was being released, he said, can you come to the opening, the launch party, which was at the WAG? And we said, yeah, we'll come. And he said, can you do some, when we do Mega Blast, can you do some dancing? He said, we've got another crew of dancers that are all girls, and then we want to have...
So he'd seen you dance at this
point?
Yeah. Okay, all right, wicked.
So we'd then gone to this launch party thing at the WAG. we're all sitting in that booth. So there was me, Jay, Matt Ford, Sean Austin, and this girl dance crew all sitting there. And then Neneh Cherry comes up, and I'm sitting on the end, and she's like wants to sit down. So I've done the, you know, gone to move out the way to give her some space, and she's just gone and just plopped straight down on my lap, and I'm sort of sitting there going.
Let me explain, right? When we were young, there was two girls, right, that pretty much caught everybody's attention. And one of them was Jennifer Beals from Flashdance. And the other one was Neneh Cherry. Like, I mean, you look at these girls and you're like, wow, they're so fit, they're so pretty. And as youngsters, that's all you're seeing. Well, I'm not going to dwell on that, because if I do, I'll probably just, you know, I'll probably want to kill you.
Yeah.
So I remember I had some friends who went to a concert in Brighton. And I think it was the Run-DMC Public Enemy tour at the time. And my friends were there saying, yeah, and this dance crew just got pushed onto the stage and whatever. Now, what would you do to be the people that were there standing on the stage with someone like Public Enemy, with Run-DMC, and being pushed on that stage?
We were. That was us.
What?
That was us.
Yeah.
That was you?
Yeah. That, I mean, complete fluke. We'd gone to Brighton to go to the concert, and back then, obviously, no internet, so no Ticketmaster. We just rolled up. We'd hear about something, and you'd just go to it. And if you got in, you got in. If you didn't, you didn't. And we were trying to get into this concert, and all the tickets were being sold outside by touts, and you know, it was like we couldn't afford the tickets and all this sort of stuff. So he's dragged me around the back of the centre. He's gone, oh, let's go down here and have a look. There's something going on down here. There's activity, because we used to blag our way into all sorts of stuff. We were like proper little, you know, if we could sneak in through a fire exit or something, we would. So we've gone around the back and walked around the corner, and he's gone, that's Jam Master Jay. And I sort of looked up and I went, you're joking? And he's like, yeah, look. And I was like, it is and all. So we just walked up to him and went, you're Jam Master Jay, ain't you? And he went, yeah. And he's, you know, having a toot sort of thing. And he just started chatting to us. He said, oh, what do you guys do? Because are you rappers? Because obviously back then, because we'd got into the whole thing, everybody looked like a rapper, right?
Except me, and I was a rapper.
You were the rapper, but you were the only one who didn't look like a rapper. Everybody else, we all had Gucci caps, the fat gold chains, the goose jackets, the task force trainers, all the shit. And he said, oh, you guys rappers? And we were like, no, we're dancers, we're body poppers, we do da-da. And he was like, oh, right, cool, come in, meet the guys. Yeah. And we were like, you what? And he was like, yeah, come and meet the guys. And he took us in the back door, all through the little rabbit warren of like where the changing rooms are, and took us round the corner, and there's Run-DMC sitting in the changing room, and he's like, oh, I've met these guys, the dancers, and we're like, oh, hello. And we're like, oh my God. And they said, oh, right, the guy came down to take them out to take them up onto stage, because they were just about to go on, and we got kind of herded with them up the stairs towards the stage. We're going upstage, Jam Master Jay's in front of us, and he's walked out, and Public Enemy have come off, and they're coming down the stairs past us, and they're all like high-fiving us as they're coming down the stairs.
Yeah. And we have to remind people, this is when them guys were huge.
Yeah. We've gone up onto the stage, and we suddenly realise we're standing like on this stage with Run-DMC, and Jam Master Jay started, you know, cutting up. And so naturally, what's the first thing we did was kind of, so we did our little, we had a popping routine that we used to do all the time. Yeah. So we kind of did that for about, I don't know, 30 seconds or something. It seemed like an eternity. And then we were just kind of like edging our way across, and eventually we sort of got to the edge of the stage, went down the stairs and walked to where the barriers are, and the security guard sort of just looked at us, opened the barrier and let us in, and we walked in to find our mates, and everyone was just like, whoa, you know, patting us on the back and all that. We're just like, oh my God.
So, because the way I heard it was these guys just got pushed up onto the stage, and I'm there thinking to myself, like, wow, now, I would kill to be in that situation. Just imagine.
Yeah, it was just one of those crazy events that you just couldn't predict. But yeah, that's how it went down. And all our mates had got tickets outside from touts or whatever and come in, and they were just like, how did you do that? How did you manage that? And we were like, mate, it's his fault. It's Jam Master.
I've still got Flavor Flav's dad.
He's still got.
Are you
Flavor
serious?
Flav's
Have you got it with you? Did you bring it?
No.
Oh, wow.
As he was coming off, he put it over my neck. I was like,
just one of those absolutely insane things that you can. There's been so many of those over the years that have happened.
So is that the most memorable?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, well it's understandable, isn't it? I mean, you're talking Run-DMC and you're talking Public Enemy. What was the most important aspect of hip hop to you? Was it the dancing? Was it the body popping?
Once kind of breakdance, the movie had hit, and we saw what real popping looked like. That was it for us. It was our religion. You know, it was our focus day and night. We practiced in Folkestone outside Debenhams on a Saturday afternoon. It was like our version of Covent. If I wasn't in London, I'd be up there and hanging out there, because there used to be hundreds of kids.
And this is what I'm trying to get into people's heads as well, that there was so much going on elsewhere.
Oh yeah,
you know, so you had it. Then you got obviously all the people from like your Nottinghams and your Derbys and your Manchesters, and
we had so much stuff going on down in our area, from the jump, from Robotics all the way through. I mean, to this day, one of the best body poppers I've ever seen in my life lived in Folkestone, size 108. And it was the summer of '84. We were outside Debenhams with our little, you know, stereos and that, and he turned up with his mate Brian, and they just started dancing to the Smurf. He looked like sort of Ozone from Breaking. He had like baggy trousers on with the scarves tied around his ankles. He was wearing a bowler hat. He had jerry curls, spiky bracelets, all that kind of stuff. And he just went into his popping, and we were just like, what was that? What was that? And from then on, we were kind of trying to hang around with him, because he was quite a bit older than us, and we were kind of like hanging around with him and watching what he was doing and learning from him and Brian, rather than looking to the sort of like American stuff. We kind of we were like, oh no, that's not quite as good now. We want to do like him, because he was a classically trained dancer. He studied at Erdang and all that kind of stuff. So his popping style was completely different to what we'd seen previously. It was unique.
Over the years, things have obviously progressed in different ways. To me, all progression is good.
Yeah. No, I mean, the progression is when you see new guys that are doing stuff like Mad Chad, Poppin' John, John Boogs. They're still doing what we were doing in 1984 and 83, but what they've done is because the learning curve now is faster, because they've moved it up, and it's the acceleration, because we didn't have those frames of reference. So we would see something once, and then you'd have to spend the next 2 months or whatever trying to recreate it. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I love all the history of it, because it's ours, it's our history. The next generation, that the kids that are doing stuff now at a really high level, are going to carry it on even further. And hopefully when people see, as we did with Jeff Harrison, that was the best. Probably now, if you saw that now, it would probably be terrible. But for us, that was like a new thing. It was amazing, and it was fresh, and wow. So the kids now, what they're presenting to the universe is going to take that and go, wow, look at that. Do
you think the kids can learn more from you guys? Or do you think you can learn more from the kids?
No, we can learn more from the new style, from the new kids. Because they've taken what we were doing and they've honed it and perfected it, like martial arts. They've taken out all the bits that you don't need and have just kept in what looks good.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is, back in the days, a lot of the dancers, probably rappers, DJs, they were doing more than they needed to.
Yeah, as a package, we did everything, or we tried to. We were shit at most of it. We all, we tried rapping, we tried beatboxing, all of which I was terrible at. We got into DJing. So it's just whatever you went, wow, I love this, and you stuck with it. Do you know what I mean? And those things carried on, and that's what the kids nowadays are doing. But what they're doing is they're taking one of those elements and perfecting it.
Actually, you know what? The one thing that we haven't mentioned in this so far is the name of your group. Born to Rock.
Yeah, Born to Rock.
I mean, anybody who doesn't know Born to Rock and they were part of the early days, it's pretty much like you don't know.
Yeah.
If you had 2 minutes to just sell yourself and make people to want to go and check out what you're about and everything, what would you say to the cameras right now?
I would say, if you've got any interest in electro, if you were into electro as a kid or coming up through the hip hop scene, check out my music. We've got some more graffiti projects coming up that'll be up on social media and stuff like that. If you want to go back and look at what Born to Rock did and their influences and what we were doing all over the place, and obviously I need to shout out Second to None, Always Rockin' Tough. Those guys that were alongside us were kind of still Battle Squad. All those guys who were at the same time, we were all trying to build the scene back up, Battle of the Year.
Yeah, because there was a point where it was dead.
Yeah.
And then second to none, just kept going, just kept going. Just,
Well, we
and
were
I
doing
feel
the
they
same thing.
Yeah.
But,
So.
you know, on the down low, and then we all hooked up at various jams, you know, around Kent area, and then we kind of the scene just started falling back together when we started going out to Europe and going to Battle of the Year. And
You know, I actually remember one time, it was about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in Camberwell, and I've just finished. I've walked from Brixton, from the recording studio. I've walked to Camberwell, and because I didn't have enough money. I had one bus journey, and I needed 2 buses to get home. So, and it was a night bus, so it was a bit more expensive. So I've walked from Brixton to Camberwell with all my records and everything. I'm standing at the bus stop, and all of a sudden I see this coach going past with about 50, 60 kids on it going, it's Blade! And I'm thinking, you bastards, you could have picked me up. You were going in the same direction. You could have picked me up and taken me home. And that was you lot. You were all coming back from one of the Battle of the Years.
yeah,
from
96, I think that was. Yeah.
Wow, you know what? That's another reason I hate
We were
you.
all driving past going,
Yeah, exactly, with all the middle fingers and everything. And I'm thinking, oh, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's like, Anyway.
That trip, man, that was...
But this what I'm saying, the passion was crazy. The people would jump on coaches and go
Yeah,
places.
yeah.
And a lot of that is down to Mickey Blue Eyes. Do you know what I mean? He was organising a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that guy gets enough credit for what he did.
Oh, no,
for the
Blue
scene.
Eyes was, you know, I worked with Blue Eyes putting together Fresh 97 in Folkestone, and you know, he did a load of other stuff, and we obviously we did the events that we did with you in Folkestone and Hijack and all those kind of things. But yeah, Mick, he's still out there. He needs a shout out because he was instrumental in a lot of that kind of mid-90s organising and promoting and pushing the hip hop scene forward. Definitely.
Well, I'm going to try and get him in here.
Yeah,
It's just at the moment with everything going on in the world, it's hard. People don't travel as much. So, but you know what? I'm going to focus on getting him in here. I'm not going to give up because, like I said, I feel that guy needs the respect for what he's done.
He
and
does.
I don't think enough people give him that respect for what he's done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll focus on that when the time is right. But, yeah, is there anything else that you want to say? I mean, do you want to promote your Facebook, your Instagram? Do you have a website?
I'm on Facebook, Toze One, Instagram, Toze One.
Do you want to spell that?
Toze, obviously space ONE. Yeah, we've got projects coming up. We're doing stuff all the time, and anything that does come up, we put out on, you know, on social media and stuff. And I'm doing doing the music and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it all gets put on there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, because of, as we all know, old age catches up with us, and the dance stuff isn't, you know, as easily accessible anymore because you start falling to bits once you hit 50.
Yeah, well, you know what? I got a box in the back room with tons and tons of sellotape if you need to stick yourself back together.
Yeah, mate.
All right. All right. So thank you, Toze, for being here. Toze One. So I just call him Toze, but you know. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for being here. If you don't know anything about him, you know what? Jay Adams as well.
35 miles. Just stand at the back here. Shut off.
Yeah, get in.
No, I got move over. What the hell, man? Am I in? Am I on the mic?
I've been his carer. I've been his carer for 40
35
years.
miles I've been driving here and I wasn't even in the interview. This isn't even a warehouse. He's not Blade. He fights demons. My God.
Anyway.
40 years I've had to put up with this.
40 years.
40 years.
So, so
and I like celery.
Before we finish off, okay, so that's Jay Adams, yeah, and that's his carer. All right, so
Hip hop legend J2.
All right, but yeah, guys, thanks a lot for being here. For anyone who doesn't know anything about them, go and check them out. You'll find stuff about them on the internet. Obviously, there's bits and pieces here and there. If you want to find out more about them, you're interested in what they're doing, hit them up on their Facebook and on their Instagram. Wherever you can find them, just check them out. The guys have got an immense history. They've been there from sort of like pretty much 40 years ago now. And, you know, they've been in the scene over sort of breakdancing days and doing the body popping and, you know, all the robotics and everything, like he said. He's also doing DJ stuff. He's putting on promotions. He has put on loads of promotions over the years. So his involvement in the hip-hop scene has been big, you know, and you know, it's one of those guys where he works in the background, so you don't really get to hear about him as much.
I get a minute shut.
But
I'm having this.
all right.
How have that. Driving bloody 30 miles just for nothing. We're out of it. Come on, let's go. Peace!
You can see why now I technically qualify for an NVQ in care.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys,
Pink.
that's pink.
That's not black.
Please subscribe to the channel so you can find out more about what we've got coming. We've got loads of interviews with loads of other people that we're going to be doing. There's going to be music uploads. There's going to be freestyles once all of this is finished and, you know, people can travel a bit more. So yeah, just keep your eyes open. See what's coming next. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for listening.
Do we get our money now? Do we get our money now?
Do we get?
Money now.
Do we get our money now? Yeah.
You booked the strippers, right?
Yeah. The strippers are booked.